Saryusz-Wolski, thank you for taking time to speak to New Europe. You're currently on the chairman of a delegation for relations with NATO. This has been quite a traumatic issue for some states and some neighbouring states of the European Union. How are things going in that committee?
First, NATO is crucial for Europe. Second, the dialogue between European Union and NATO is very, very weak. And there's a need to have more contacts when Union tries to get the defense and security dimension strengthened, and when NATO takes into account much more of a civilian dimension of its actions, be it Kosovo, Balkans or Afghanistan. So we need to have more dialogue, more cooperation between the two organisms.
And we've just had the elections and things have gone very well for the EPP. We've got a new commission, Lisbon's through. It looks as though things could really move forward very quickly for the EPP to push its agenda through.
Well, the EPP is the strongest, I would say, because as President of the Commission, now President of the Parliament, and also President of the Council. But EPP is not present in foreign policy because it went to the Socialists. And I consider that as a weakness. And also the fact that on the top of the EU institutions, the three executive jobs, there's nobody who would represent the eastern flank of the European Union and the experience and sensitivity of new member states.
Well, one of the things that I'm picking up from talking to people from the newer member states is they're beginning to feel more central and they're beginning to show their power and their weight. Is this how you see Poland moving?
Well, not only Poland, but all the countries up from Estonia down to Bulgaria, they are becoming more assertive and want to influence the course of events and the policies of the Union, while their influence is not yet that visible as it should be.
So that you'd expect after, say, 5 years that we will be regarding these newer member states as being mainstream, as being right in the centre of the European Union?
I think they have every reason and right to be in the centre in the mainstream of the Union in terms of decision making, and also in terms of bringing the eastern flank of the Union agenda into the main agenda of the Union, be it policy vis-à-vis Russia, policy vis-à-vis eastern neighbours or eastern partnership, or the key question of energy security.
Well, this brings two issues together. One is, of course, Russia, which has had quite a difficult history with many of the European eastern states, and it also brings in energy security, where Russia is holding quite a few cards. What do you think of the latest moves in the Nabucco and South Stream pipeline projects?
Well, I think the Union should give top priority to its own project, which is Nabucco, to diversify sources and roads of transit, but also in terms of not being submitted to the political blackmails linked with the deliveries of gas, for example, or the closing of the taps, which happens regularly once a year. For that reason, we need a common European policy on energy security, common institutions, the community method applied on the Commission level under the control of the European Parliament, and then linking all the pipelines and networks within the Union by creating an internal market of energy, by interconnectors, reverse interconnectors, infrastructure, so that we are less dependent and less vulnerable on that, especially the eastern flank of the Union.
And what are you looking for from Lisbon? With the new Lisbon arrangement, it seems we're trying to work out what the President's job is and how the High Representative fits in, particularly with a new External Action Service. How would you like to see these roles develop?
Well, first, let me say, as European parliamentarian for the second term, that we hope that the role of the Parliament will be under Lisbon greater, and the democratic scrutiny of the policies of the Union, thus giving more legitimacy to the Union as such, with all the democratic deficits which was diagnosed already a long time ago. On foreign policy, there is a great expectation and hope that the Union will start speaking with one voice in more areas than present, and a stronger voice, and not only speak but also act together. So this is a great potential which is in the Lisbon Treaty, but is not yet exploited, and we will look very carefully how this new office of High Representative and Vice President at the same time, Head of Diplomatic Service, Vice President of the Commission, all those 5 or at least 4 functions in one hand, how it will function. It was one of the great promises of the Lisbon Treaty, and it would be a great pity if it couldn't come into reality.